Hey everybody, Jochen Heiden here. I'm back with the December 31st New Year's Eve combat replay intel analysis, and this video is going to be a bit longer today because we're starting January 1st, 1942. It's the new year, and I kind of want to talk about the state of the game, reinforcements, kind of grand strategy stuff, as well as some logistic things. So this video is going to be a little longer than normal, but I hope you enjoy it. Let's do it. Okay, and we're live. Let's see what happens. Let's see if we have a good New Year's Eve or not. I'm hoping we do. Okay, looks like it takes a dot base on Luzon, just due to proximity. All right, our AMCs are sweeping some more mines in Iraq, and these I believe to be submarine deployed mines. And he's dumped quite a bit there. I feel like we've cleared maybe 80 mines over the last couple days. Oh, well, here we go. Both task forces evade combat, but honestly, I think that's bad for him because now we know exactly what he's got. Everybody take a look. The Kaga, Akagi, Zuiho, and Tayo. With the Chiyota, and what he's using the Chiyota for is for, basically he's using the Chiyota for seaplane tending, and he's got probably all of his scout planes on there. So he can devote less of his carrier aircraft to scouting and more from the Chiyota. Alright, he's got the Furitaka and the Kako and 4 destroyers. So this is honestly a very weakly escorted carrier task force. So it's likely for him that we don't have a lot of assets available, because if we did, we could easily take this on and win. So good job, Can Laon. You have given us a lot of information. Okay, let's go. So no real night combat. No sub-attacks. At least in the morning. No amphibious landings. Got some merging. Oh. Yikes. Okay, well, this AKL I had sent out to actually refuel a Corvette that was low on fuel, and unfortunately it looks like he found it. But not the end of the world, because he's wasting ammo on this thing that's not that useful. And we know exactly what he's got in his fleet, at least some of it. So we know that the Miyoko, Haguro, and the Kumano are in his fleet, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 destroyers. So he wasted ammo and took out a check saying, but we got great intel on what exactly we're dealing with in the Indian Ocean. So we know that we have a total of 7 heavy cruisers and a bunch of destroyers. And the Oshio, wasn't that the one that... Oh, no, I don't think it was. I thought we had possibly sank this one a couple weeks ago in the Makassar Strait. I don't think it was this one. Okay, let's see what else happens here. So, wow. So we're spotting a lot of stuff here. Or they're spotting us, rather. Okay. Man, there's a lot of spotting going on. I think we're going to have a lot of action in the air here. Oh, guys, I think this is going to be wild. Hold on tight. This is going to be intense. Once the naval part of this goes down, it's going to be intense. All right, he sweeps over us to Changsha looking for our P-40s that aren't going to engage with him, because we know better. Oh, he's launching a raid on Baton. This is looks like to be a ground strike, and I'm not entirely sure why he chose to go with a ground strike because it it's not going to really do anything. That terrain is rough to bomb, and what I've noticed when you do a ground attack in Clark or Baton, it tends to always default to the static unit, which would be the defenses, right? The heavy guns and everything. And you know, I think those are ineffective when you do that. So if he wants to really hurt Baton, he needs to hit the port or the field to stop us from building the fortification level. And he's going at Baton again with the big raid. I'm glad he went for Baton and not Clark, because if he had gone to Clark, it would have been bad. It would have been really bad for us, but I think this air attack is going to be ineffective again. So he takes some... He looks like he takes 3 damaged aircraft. We see no overt losses on our side from this. 7,000 feet bombing. Okay. Yeah, I mean, kind of a waste. I'm sure the rain helped us too. Oh, we got some Catalinas coming out of Clark Field. Where did these guys come from? Oh! Oh, yes! Oh, oh. Okay, well, I moved some PBYs into Clark Field because I just thought I needed to shake things up a bit, and I think Lodrik was getting a little too comfortable. So out of 2 PBYs that we sent off, we got 1 torpedo hit that detonated, and we had another one that didn't. But they both hit. All right, so what we need to be listening to now is for sinking sounds. I don't think 1 torpedo is going to do it. It does not. Okay, once again, he's sending more Bettys at Baton, which was a huge mistake. I don't know why he's bombing Baton. There's nothing there worth bombing. So, again, he does nothing. And he's going after Baton again with Libby's now. Lilies. I don't really understand why he's doing this. Why Baton? I'm sure his scouts know that the bulk of my forces are at Clark, so this is really perplexing me. Again, he takes some damaged aircraft, and we suffer no real losses here. Okay, we're gonna have another monster raid hitting our troops leaving Loyang. We take some casualties there. Units moving into Pingxiang from Changsha are bombed to no effect. Okay, another raid. We take the heavy rain is helping us in this hex because these are big raids, but our casualties are relatively light considering. All right, now he's sending Sallies over to Chiang Mai. Interestingly enough, he's bombing southwest of Yan'an. Nothing spectacular there. Man, I want to see some more naval activity from our PBYs. I have more at Clark than just those 2 you saw. I'd like to see some more activity there. Okay. Nuisance raid. No casualties. Good weather for us, bad for him. That's a good raid. Okay, he's really trying to slow reinforcements of mine trying to get into Pingxiang, but he's not going to. He's throwing everything he's got at us, trying to slow us down. Man, come on! We need some more. We need some more action here. We need our guys to do something. What? Oh, We have a PM phase, right? Okay, we need some of our guys to get something done here. Okay, so his scout planes are spotting our AKLs that we dispersed in a million different directions. So he's going to have to pick. They're going to have to pick where they want to go. We're spotting all kinds of stuff, but we need some. Okay, PBY is going way far away. Oh, and we get a torpedo into this tanker ship. Oh, okay. So we sink a tanker ship here, the Azuma Maru. I assume it's probably a small tanker ship, but nonetheless, it's a tanker, and we sank it. These PBYs are nailing these attacks right now. Excellent. Oh, we get another raid coming in at Eva. Dang it. So our torpedoes let us down. We do get torpedoes into it, but they don't explode. Man, what a shame. Okay, here we go. More PBY strikes. Let's see what we get out of this. Ah! Dang it. All right, so we get another torpedo into this torpedo boat, but it does not detonate. Okay, now we have a PBY strike here. Oh, okay. So we get a torpedo. I'm sorry, we get a bomb into the Oyashio, which appears to be part of his cruiser task force that might be retreating from combat near Burma the other day. So I doubt it will sink, but it's definitely going to have to go in for repairs for that. Okay, we got Dornier 24s coming in. They spotted the Kuma. And they're missing. So we know he's got the Kuma at Georgetown. We're going to send the PPYs in. Maybe they can do better. Let's see what they can come up with here. Okay. Obliterated. Alright. So, these PBYs come in, and we take out 2 of his minesweepers that are already done doing their job at Georgetown. These aren't worth hardly anything, but they are ships nonetheless. And we get some more Dorniers coming in. They want to try at this again. And unfortunately, they missed the Yamagumo. Okay, so this is already a damaged ship. He's just finishing it off here. These are AKLs that left Serbia several days ago. And last time I dispersed them into all different directions just to kind of distract his aircraft so they have to pick and choose where to go. If I left them in one fleet, they could just attack them all in one sitting. But these are basically single ships that he's attacking, and he's drawing aircraft away to do that. See, he just sent 22 Kates and 16 zeros after a single AKL. And every time he does that, it eats up sorties. A lot of sorties. For one ship that is worth maybe 2 points at most. Yeah, and his other aircraft show up at the target and it can't find anything because it just sank. Okay. 27 valves now. And these 27 valves are being used on a single AKL. And that sinks as well. I hate that they're being sunk. I don't like it, but in the grand scheme of things, they're not worth much. And 22 Kates now on another single target. Well, I think that's all we're going to get for combat out of our aircraft, as much as I wish they'd do some more. Yeah. That's unfortunate. Well, we got some good hits in there. We got some ship kills. We got some bombs into stuff. I'm happy with that. We shake things up a little bit here. So now we're going to go into ground combat, and unfortunately, I don't think we're going to hold at Conscien. Well, maybe we do. Look at this. I think we're going to win this. I think we won this. Whoa. Check this out. Check out this victory. And this was a very critical area for me, too. This base had to hold for me because it's my escape route for troops leaving southeastern China, and we just held and pushed him back hard. Okay. Now, granted, we don't destroy any squads except for an engineer, but we disable a lot of combat troops, right? So this is going to make this unit combat effective. And now we know he's got low supply here. So does that mean that we possibly counterattack? This might be something we can look at. So going into this, he had crappy assault value to begin with, and now it's even more degraded. So this looks like an opportunity to me here. This is a great victory for us. Even though we don't kill anything outright, we reduce the combat power such that if we counterattack him, we may be able to actually take out a lot of squads. Something to really think about here. So he's got 3 regiments that look like to be out of steam. So it might be our turn to take the offensive there. Good stuff. Oh, and Lo Yang's going down, and now we get a sneak peek of what exactly he's coming in here with. All right. We got some armor. We got infantry regiments. Okay, take a look. Everybody look at this. A division, a mixed brigade, another mixed brigade. Okay, so 3 divisions. And basically make it 4 divisions if you add up these slivers right here, right? 3 independent mixed brigades. The Korea Army headquarters. And looks like 3 RD regiments. 2,600 assault value. Okay, 2,600. So now we know what he's got at Lo Yang. Anybody writing this down? I don't know. I'm calling this a win this turn. We lost a bunch of AKLs, but I don't need them. He lost some ships that he probably doesn't really need either, but they're still ships and they count, so I'm pretty happy with this result, honestly. Can't complain. Oh, we got a British sub coming in. Some more ships coming in at Cape Town. Motor launchers at Karachi. We can use those for ASW. Okay. Well, listen. This is the most positive turn I've seen in a few days. We had some good wins on the ground. And we know exactly what he's got in the Indian Ocean. And we sank some ships. Let's take a look at the intel now. Okay, everybody, we're back. Happy New Year. Okay, it's January 1st now, 1942. We made it to the new year. I wasn't sure if we were going to for a minute there. So now that we're in the beginning of a new month, this is going to be a little bit longer of a wrap-up video because I kind of want to talk about a few extra topics that I wouldn't talk about on a normal turn review. But let's just start with the normal turn review stuff. So we'll go ahead and go into our intel brief. So we'll start with aircraft losses, and today it was actually in our favor for quite a bit. So we lost 1, he lost 7. So according to the report, According to the report, he lost 3 Nels, 2 to Ops, 1 to Flak, 2 Kates, a Babs, which is a recon plane, a Jake, which is a scout plane. We lost 1 Catalina, and that was basically it. So really good day for us near, not a great day for him. So I suspect this will say nothing, but if we look at the top pilots, you'll see that we lost no pilots this turn, which is excellent. Since we're in here, we'll take a look at the top pilots overall by kills. We do have a few aces here. Unfortunately, we did lose Mr. Sharp earlier in the campaign, but we do have 2 aces on the book, and I believe we have another one tucked away in a reserve unit somewhere. So not bad. Looking at all the awesome pilots that were killed, though, of our pilots that have kills, only 2 of them have been KIA this entire campaign. The rest are wounded, and out of these wounded, many of them will come back into action. So considering as many aircraft as we've lost so far, these numbers aren't so bad. A lot of these KIA are actually Dutch and British and Chinese pilots, which I hate to say aren't the best. So I'm okay with these pilot losses. On the ground, the Army losses are holding pretty steady. We didn't actually lose very much last turn, and neither did he, but we'll talk about what that means. So let's take a look at ships sunk, which is something interesting. So we're looking at both. Last turn, we lost a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 AKLs, right? A lot of these were taken out by the Keto Butai fragment north of Australia, and I'll show you that on the map in a little bit. One was taken out near Trincomalee in Ceylon, but we actually killed something last turn. As you recall watching the replay, we killed a couple of AMCs that were at Georgetown. We took out a tanker in the Pescador Strait there, or the Formosa Strait rather, and we damaged an AP. I don't think it sunk, and I don't think it will sink. And we also damaged a destroyer with a 500-pound bomb. So we killed 3 ships and damaged 2 more. I'm happy with that. I'm not happy about losing these ships, but they didn't figure to last anyway. These are all ships that I've been pulling out of the Philippines. And if anything, they're working as bait for me because Lodrik is expending a ton of sorties going after single ship convoys. So he may run out of sorties before he gets a whole lot further south. So anyway, yeah, we got some ship kills. Not bad. Let's see here. Is there anything else that's noteworthy? Not that I want to get to yet. Let's take a look at the tactical situation. Oh, music's back. So in China, what occurred last turn was that he took Luoyang, which we were planning on him doing. We've pulled out of there, and he can have it. We're done with it. It's not defendable. So a little bit of a 22-point swing there. No big deal. A little bit further south, though, we actually had a big win. So he attacked us again at Cancien, but this time he really screwed it up. I think he overextended, and I don't think he realized that my units were coming up behind him so quickly. Because basically, if you recall the combat report, it's saying the attacker is out of supply. So they're tired and out of supply. We, on the other hand, have plenty of supply. Our disruption and fatigue levels are low. We rebuilt the fortification level that we lost. Okay. And we're in no danger of losing this point now, which was critical to me, and I'll tell you why. All of these Chinese troops that were retreating from this area, I'm funneling through here. And I needed this base to be open. So now, what Lodrik did is he got himself encircled. If you look at the hex side detail here, we control 5 of the 6 sides of this, and we have units coming in behind. So this unit's about to be encircled. And I don't see him having enough strength in southern China right now to extricate that unit. So we're going to sit tight. We're going to keep bringing our units that are stuck back behind the lines in. Let me just check to make sure something. Okay, we're gonna bring in all these units and just isolate this unit, and maybe we can even destroy it, because he's heavily disabled right now. A lot of his units are not in combat shape, and it's only gonna get worse because he's surrounded now and cut off from supply. So awesome us, bad on him, and that was a really awesome move. Otherwise, in China, there's not much else going on that's noteworthy. Other than perhaps this unit here where we had a big win where we drove off one of his little NPC Chinese little crappy RTA, whatever they're called, divisions that was acting as a blocking force here. I don't know if you realize how big this force actually was, because he did not put enough forces here to keep us out. So we blew that out of the water. So now what we're going to do is try to extricate this unit. I want it out. So my plan is to move down this road and possibly cross the river right here and continue over to Changsha. I don't know if he's going to expect that or not, but to me, moving over here and moving to there gives us time to get out of here. So the fate of this unit is still in question. He may set up roadblocks on here with stronger units and block us off, and that might be the end of it. But we're sure going to try. And that's our exit route. So we're going to go here, to here, to here, and across. So, over in the Bay of Bengal, you'll notice that we no longer have eyes on his task force over here. I think I know where it's at. I think it's somewhere over here. The reason why I'm not seeing it is because I got a little too jumpy and excited, and I set a lot of my seaplanes for a naval attack. So instead of doing a lot of naval scouting, they were doing a lot of naval bombing, and we lost sight of that task force. But fear not, I've restored all my scouting. We're going to actually make sure these guys are at the full 20 right now, because we need maximum visibility. Okay, so our scouting range is all the way out past Colombo there. We also have PBYs over here doing search, and we're going to take them out to at least 16. Okay. All right. So we will get eyes on this task force again, and we also have a PBY unit here at Colombo now. I moved it on last turn, or this turn. So now we have eyes all the way up to Mangalore, to Adu, almost all the way back to Port Blair. So we will catch his surface task force next turn. We will see it. The only ship that's at risk is possibly this one, and we are retreating to Colombo. Any other loose task force that I had in the area, I've folded up. These units are moving out of the way at full speed, just in case he gets really bold and wants to start charging up the coastline here after these units. I'm going to park them somewhere safe. They have a lot of troops destined for Rangoon on them, but I need to wait for an opportunity to get them back in. I don't know when that exactly is going to be. We also have sight of ships at Georgetown, and we have sight of this cruiser task force, which I believe is the one that engaged us up here a few days ago and took out our transports. It's moving south, and the reason it's moving south is probably low on fuel and low on ammo. So according to my intelligence, what we have in the Indian Ocean right now is one active cruiser task force and one retreating, and that's all we know about. And I'm pretty satisfied with my naval search in the area now that that's what we actually are dealing with. So by the next turn, when we view this again, we will have eyes on that cruiser task force. So down here, let's take a look at this area. This is the battleship unit that went all the way down. No. Yep. I know it says CV, CV, CV. It's not. These are actually battleships. This is the unit that was all the way down here in Perth. He did not get any more kills down here because he ran out of ammo. So all of these little APs and such are safe. However, this is the Kido Butai unit now, and it's moving southwest. Last turn, he took out about 6 ships in this area over here. This is the last one that managed to survive. I don't think it's going to survive for long, though, because he has detection. So he may, depending on how many hexes he's moving, we should get to Broom on time. But if he wants to chase us, he will take this out. But if he doesn't, what's going to happen next is he's going to continue south. And I think he's looking to bring this carrier task force down here to do some raiding. So anticipating that, I have this unit here retreating to Cape Town for safety. And you'll notice the Marblehead has survived and is well. The Marblehead was one of our first ships that was engaged in combat in the Makassar Strait and Celebes Sea on December 8th. And it was heavily damaged. We got the Serbia, patched it up. Then we got it down to Perth. And now we're getting it off map temporarily. But I'm really happy that we saved that ship. It's one of the very few ships from that region of the world that made it out. Anyway, I anticipate that this carrier task force is going to continue down and attempt to blockade this. So with that in mind, I'm getting as many ships out as I can. These ones got to come in because they're almost out of fuel. These ones are out of fuel. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to move these guys way out to sea until they basically out of gas. Move them so far out that the carriers will never see them, even with their scouting assets. And then I'm going to bring in a tanker from Cape Town, bring it out to the location of these ships, top them off with fuel, and get them off the map. But as long as they're out to sea here, they're not in danger of getting spotted. I don't see Lodrik going out into the middle of the ocean out here, Indian Ocean, looking for ships. He's going to stay close to land because that's where the highest likelihood of him spotting something is, and B, he can't go indefinitely rummaging out in the middle of the ocean because this task force has destroyers in it. It has a CS and 4 carriers and no fuel that we can see. So he can't stay out to sea indefinitely. And personally, I think he's making a huge mistake. He's chasing his tail going after these AKLs when there's stuff that he could have been striking in Serbia. He very well could do an about face next turn, but as of right now, he's spotted going southwest. So I think he will continue going down here a little further because I bet he thinks we have more ships out here left than we do. Which we do, but we don't. Look at this. So I have this unit, this hodgepodge collection of all kinds of goodness, fun stuff from Serbia. We got it out safely. We snuck it around his submarines through here. I've combined them all into an escort task force, and we are moving just as fast as we possibly can towards this way, just to get away from Lodrik. All right. Honestly, I think we probably need to go full speed here because we need to clear as many grids as we possibly can to get away from them. And much like these ships down here, these ones are going to go out to about here, run out of fuel, and just wait. They're so far off the map by that point that Lodrik will not be going out here looking for them. And if you check this out at Cape Town, I already have a ship set up. I don't know why I stopped loading fuel. Let's keep loading fuel. I already have a ship set up to go refuel these guys. So this tanker is going to come down here, meet these guys somewhere around here, top these guys off, and we'll get them back off the map. So I'm preserving ships. I'm saving ships. I don't want to give Lodrik unnecessary free kills unless it's unavoidable. You may be asking about these submarines. These are damaged subs from Serbia. I didn't want them to get port struck into oblivion, so I'm moving them down to Perth. However, I do have them on max reactor 1s because they are going to cross the path of these guys. You never know. We may get lucky and get a hit on something. If we don't, that's fine. But what if we get a torpedo or two into one of these battleships? Wouldn't that be awesome on the way in? It's happened before, so we're going to try it. And if they don't connect, we'll just continue moving south, dock these guys in Perth. Also, because these carriers are coming south and I don't know how far he's going to go, I'm getting everything out of town that I can. These ships are going back to Serbia, to Cape Town, and I have them moving way far south first before heading off map. Again, I have another set of light ships. These ships are not overly valuable to me, but they are ships nonetheless that I don't want him to blow up. So I have these guys leaving Perth and heading over to Port Augusta just to hide out. I think they'll be nice and safe tucked in there for the time being. And the last unit is just another tanker unit. However, I'm not moving it out until I get it unfueled, defueled, because it has quite a bit of fuel on board, and our fuel situation in Australia is not great right now. So I don't want to. I'll risk the ships in order to get as much fuel into Perth as we can, because we need fuel. Because my outlook on fuel delivery for Australia is not looking awesome. We'll talk about that later. Okay, I think I'm running out of things to show you, but for now, here's the situation in the Solomons and in New Britain, New Guinea. It's quiet. I do have search assets up. We're not seeing anything right now. Rabal's quiet. No air activity, no sub activity. So to me, that means it's time to get more stuff into Port Moresby. So I've got tons of ships. These are all going different places. They're not all going to Port Moresby. I have various operations going on right now, but the fact remains we are moving stuff into Port Moresby. Okay, I got supply, I got equipment in port. I have a number of ships that are loaded with supply, and as ships get unloaded, I rotate one out and put one on, because they have to dock to get the fastest unload rate. And this is only a level 1 port right now, which we're expanding, but it's still taking a while. So before I can really unload ships faster, I have to only dock what I can to unload what I can. But we're building everything up. We're also rescuing the Lark Battalion, the one that retreated from Rabal. We're using seaplanes to do that. And if you look here, we're already getting some troops out. Granted, they're not much, but we have time. I'm going to use seaplanes as I have them available, and we're going to get all these guys evacuated out of New Britain and put back to Port Moresby, where we can reform the 8th Division later on. Also, this unit was stuck at WoW for a long time. WoW. So I have them moving to Tarapo, where we can evac them back and fully reconstruct the Port Moresby Brigade. Because right now, the only piece we're missing is the C Company, which is right here. Okay, so that's basically it for the tactical situation right now. Now let's talk about some bigger things, some strategic stuff. So I'll kind of want to go over in more detail now. Oh, by the way, I did review the operations report. Anything that was noteworthy I mentioned already. There's nothing else super telling in here right now that we need to discuss. Same for the SIGINT. It's just telling me where some stuff's at and where things are going. But it's nothing that I can really deal with. Okay, let's talk about what's coming on the map soon. So our group reinforcement schedule, we'll go out, let's talk about this, we'll go out for a month. So we got a bunch of P-40s coming in, some Hudsons in Aden, some more P-40 Warhawks in Brisbane, which are going to be sorely needed and much appreciated, okay? So these fighters, we can move all over the place. Probably a lot of these are going to go to Port Moresby, and we're going to have a nice, strong contingent of aircraft there. We got some Hurricane 2s coming into Aden soon. And also Blenheims. We have a lot of the Commonwealth aircraft going into Aden. So I have ships moving up there to get ready to transport them back. Got some more units coming in at LA. And again, another Catalina unit coming in at Aden, which would be great to have. I'll look forward to having that. We'll bring it down into, we can take it as far as Rangoon if we need to, because we need more scouting stuff down there. Batavia is going to grab another PBY unit in 15 days, which is awesome. We're getting a pretty sizable C-47 unit at Karachi, which I intend to move down to Ledo and use for supply runs into China or even into Rangoon. But 13 of these guys is good. In 16 days, we get the Indomitable, which we'll look at on the ships. Okay, in 16 days, we get even more P40s in Brisbane, which is just awesome. The more the merrier. We're going to have 150 P40s in Brisbane on their own within the next 16 days. In On the eastern U.S., we get a pretty decent amount of aircraft, a lot of bombers and attack aircraft. I'm hoping that, and a lot of these are attached to units that can be dispatched, right? See this bomber command? This is good stuff. This is stuff that we can get into the fight. At Rawalpindi, we get a Lysander unit, which is absolutely useless to us. More Hurricanes coming in at Aden, which is great. Looks like in 21 days, we're going to get the New Mexico, Mississippi. More P40s. Some awesome B-17Es are coming in at Pendleton. They're restricted, though, so we may have to use this as a training unit. I don't know if we're going to be able to move that. I don't think we're going to be able to move that command right away, if at all. So this may be a bomber training unit, but that's okay. So I'll keep scrolling down here. Now we're down to 30 days. Looks like a Dutch ship's coming in. Some more P-39s, and these ones are movable. So we'll need to get these out into the Pacific. So we have a lot of aircraft coming in the next 30 days. Stuff that's good that we can use. That's really cool. Ship availability. Let's get through this. In 2 days, we get 3 British N-class destroyers, which are excellent. They're going to be super awesome sub-hunters / escort ships. I'm looking forward to that. Scrolling through here, I'm not going to name every single ship. You guys can take a look as I scroll up. Things that look noteworthy to me, I'll point out to you. But, you know, a lot of these are just generic things. Harbor defense motor launches, APs, AKs, some tankers. All right. I'm just going to keep scrolling. You guys take a look. Right here in Mombasa, we get the Emerald, which is an E-class cruiser. A pretty decent one at that. So we'll get that into play probably in Ceylon somewhere to beef up our surface assets there. Not a bad ship. Decent speed. Okay. Scrolling up here. Looks like we got some mine laying ships, which is good because we've lost a lot so far. All right. At Aden, in 14 days, we get the Royal Sovereign. And also, did I say 18? In 14 days. I don't know what I said. Okay. Also in 14 days, we get the Dorsetshire, which is, if you recall, was used to destroy the Bismarck earlier in 1941. Good ship. We get a couple destroyers coming onto the map. The Clark is a Porter class, and that'll be at San Francisco, a much needed destroyer. And we also have this bad boy, which is another N class, but it's Dutch. But again, it's well equipped for convoy escort. Scrolling up here, it looks like we're getting a fair amount of subs, to include 3 more Dutch subs, which will be nice to have. And these are coming in Surabaya. I'm pretty sure that Surabaya will still be ours in 14 days because I don't think Lodrik is going to be able to invade Java until he finishes off Clark, what is it? The Philippines, right? At least Luzon. Scrolling up, a lot of AKs coming in at Balboa. Balboa, as you recall, is over in the Panama Canal. Okay. Ton of them. We get it looks like another British sub coming in, which are great. We just got one this last term, and also at Aden in 16 days, the Indomitable. This is a aircraft carrier that's well protected, but not well stocked as it pertains to aircraft capacity. Yeah, looking at this, the aircraft complement here, nothing particularly great. It's something. It's just not. These aren't the best. These aren't the best aircraft that we can get. But it's a carrier. We'll incorporate it somehow. Scrolling up here, in 21 days, we get the New Mexico and the Mississippi. And I haven't really thought of what I want to do with these guys yet, but I definitely want to put them into play at some point. So those coming in San Francisco. A couple more destroyers coming in at Balboa. More ships Cape Town. We get 3 Gar class subs, which we'll immediately send out towards Japan. Man, there's a lot of ships coming in here. At Surabaya in 26 days, we get the Sumatra, which is a Dutch cruiser. I would have preferred that we not get it at Surabaya because that's just going to get dropped right into harm's way. So as soon as we get it, we're going to have to figure out how to get it out of there. And who knows what the situation is going to be like in Java in 26 days. I think Lodrik might be all over us like a cheap suit by then. All right, and at 30 days, and that's as far as I'm going to go with this, we have the Idaho coming into San Francisco, which is another standard class battleship. But again, we'll find a use for it. All right, let's get some music playing here. Here we go. Last thing we'll look at is ground reinforcements. You guys can read along here. The things that I want to see are stuff that's going in the Philippines because that's stuff that we can use right now. So in Cagayan in 10 days, we're getting a pretty decent sized infantry division. Some base forces that are coming in over in the west coast of the United States. And again, if they don't have the R, that means they're not restricted. So anything that says China Command, Southwest, any of that, we can send out. So we definitely want to do that. So you can bet that anything that's not got an R by it, I'm packing it up and I'm sending it because we need it. All right, and now we're starting to get some Australian units back from ostensibly fighting in Africa or wherever they've been fighting. So these are coming in Aden. We're getting some more head engineers that we could use for aircraft in Karachi. All this stuff is going to be needed for our defense of Rangoon and India and Burma, right? Scrolling down, getting a couple Chinese units. I believe these are units that are reforming, okay? These are units that were trashed up because I lost them in combat, right? I'm pretty sure that's what these are here. That's a nice unit there. This will be a good one to get. Look at the size of that. Yeah, that's a nice unit at Chungking. This one I think is new because we didn't lose a unit that big that I know of. Okay. Scrolling down. Again, anything that says Pacific Fleet, we're using it. It is going out into combat. A lot of stuff coming. Man, this is when it's great to be the Allies. Look at all the stuff we get. It's just like a never-ending flood of things. I don't even know what to do with all of it yet. So we'll keep scrolling down here. This Bomber Command, we can get out into the field because it's an air HQ. So that'll be good to have that available. And that's about it for 30 days. So a couple more base forces at Aden. And again, we have a lot of ships at Aden, which I'll talk about when I go over the logistical supply situation that I got going on. So yeah, that's what we got. So we've discussed ships, air, and land. Oh, and the last thing, ship withdrawal, because I've seen this get other people before caught up, if you know who I'm talking about. Dojo. Yeah, so the Dominion Monarch, we have it safe. It's basically on its way to Aden, and we're only going to use it for troop transfer between Aden and Karachi, so we'll be able to get it off the map really quick and meet this withdrawal deadline. The Joseph T. Dickman is being used right now, but basically when it's back from its return trip, I'm going to park it and it's going to stay where it's at because I don't want to lose it. The Queen Elizabeth is currently at sea, and I'm using it for transporting units back and forth because it is super fast. It does like 30 knots standard cruising speed. So we're using that in between Los Angeles and Australia because it's just so dang fast. But we do need to get it out of here by the April 19th deadline. And here's an interesting tidbit for you. My high school prom, my senior prom, was on the Queen Elizabeth in Long Beach, California. It was a disaster. If you want to know more, you can ask me sometime. It was horrible. It wasn't fun. But the ship was cool. Okay? All right. So now what I want to talk about are some lessons learned from this last month. I want to talk about some things that went bad. I want to talk about some things that we did that were good. So let's talk about things that were bad. Primarily, I want to say the number one thing that I messed up as a player for the Allies was completely inadequate naval search. I completely underestimated the importance of naval search, and what it cost me was the entire ABDA fleet. As you recall, early in our campaign, Lodrik had to hear you somewhere around here, and that's all I saw was to hear you and some other ships. And I'm like, oh, dude, look at this. Straight shot from Surabaya. I had a heavy cruiser, light cruiser. I had a heavy cruiser, 6 light cruisers, and like 10 destroyers. I said, this is done deal. There's no way we can lose this, right? So I sent the entire fleet out. But as the turn turned, we ran into the Nagato and the Mutsu, which are his 16-inch armed battleships. They proceeded to annihilate my ships, okay? Then my ships were fragmented and in pieces and split up into multiple convoys. And then they ran into 4 Congos. He got all 4 of his Congos together, and they got blasted even further, whatever was left, in Makassar Strait. And then from there, the Hiryu, which was then parked off of Makassar, basically finished everything else off. So I lost the entire ABDA fleet because I did not have naval search up. I was using my my seaplanes to move troops. All right, I somehow thought that was more important because I thought that I would somehow see Lodrik moving big units around the map, but it doesn't work that way. You got to see them yourself. They don't just appear because they drive by something. You got to scout them. I didn't realize that because I'm new, and we got slaughtered, okay? So I've now fixed that, or so I thought, and then about a week ago, this happened. Do you recall when I had a troop transport convoy loaded with troops destined for Rangoon because we'd been funneling stuff in there for weeks and there hadn't been a single peep of anything but one sub that we blasted near Pegu. Didn't see it coming, and he just came out of nowhere and completely annihilated that convoy. And again, what caused that? Zero naval search. I had nothing in the Indian Ocean, Burma, northern Sumatra, no naval search at all. So he basically ramrodded 2 cruiser task forces up through the Strait of Malacca, and we didn't see it until he hit us. So again, I fixed that. So lesson learned again, naval search is key. Naval search is key. If you're a new player, get naval search up everywhere you can. Grab your PBYs and bring them from Hawaii and hopscotch them all the way across the Pacific until you can get something to the furthest reaches of your domain, because that's what cost me so much. And let me tell you what some things that I thought I did well. I think we used our aircraft unconventionally in the Philippines in the first few days, where we did those low-level bombing attacks on his ships that were down in Batangas and Iba, and we damaged and destroyed a lot of his cargo ships, and he wasn't expecting that. So it was an unconventional move, and I thought that was really cool that I did that. Some other things that I personally think I'm doing well, and you may disagree, but you know, it's ultimately my decision because I'm the commander here. I'm okay with my China strat so far. In hindsight, it may have been better to hold on to Wenchao a little bit longer because it does create its own supply. It's got decent terrain, and you know, in hindsight, it's got decent terrain. We could have built up some forts. All these troops could have been put here and held up for a while. I still think we would have eventually lost them. So my thought process was to evacuate them and just not bother. But in hindsight, we probably could have held Wenchao for a long time. Okay, but overall, I'm happy with my strategy. We're building a strong defensive line in this area, and we've proven it works because we've repulsed them at Pinsiang, we've repulsed them at Kansien, and there is no way with the units that he's got at Kukong that he's taken it, because I've reinforced Pinsiang. We now have 1,400 assault value there with basically size 3 fortification with rough terrain. Okay, At Kukong, we have good terrain. We have size 3 forts, and we have 1700 assault value in place. He is not getting through there. Not with what he's got. He'd have to get every single unit in southern China and force him into one of these spots here to bust through. We surrounded this unit, ostensibly surrounded this unit here at Kanxian, right? And we're holding here. Changsha has tons of troops. We've got great fortifications and good terrain. He's not coming through there easily. I'm also happy with the way that I fell back out of Changsha on Luoyang and completely averted a massive encirclement. So we have something along the lines of, look, do the math here, 70,000 troops that we pulled out of Changsha and Luoyang safely. We're also retreating from up here. We're pulling troops down from down here. And we're also building a strong defensive line to hold him off over here. Okay? Xi'an in itself is undefensible with the clear terrain, but one grid south on the main road that he has to come up is WR. And WR, as you recall, WR is a ×3 defense modifier. So, with a lot of troops, which we're currently forming up, we already have 1,600 assault value worth of troops in place who are building fortifications, and there's way more on the way. We got another 2K here, and probably another 1,000 in these units over here. We're going to have about 4,000 assault value worth of troops on great terrain blocking the road to Xi'an, and it's going to be very difficult for him to take that. So, that's what I think I'm doing well in China, is turtling up, consolidating my troops, and picking good terrain to defend on when I can. And also, we're doing well retreating down here and getting these troops picked up and moved back to Kanxian. Once I have everything consolidated, I will think about pulling out of Kanxian, letting him have it, and just reinforcing Pinxiang and Kukong, because these are blocking the roads for him to get further north. There's also a road junction here that he has to take that we're blocking as well. We gave up Wuchao for it, but I didn't need that base anyway. Okay, so that's my China strat. I'm executing it the way I want, more or less. I've made a couple mistakes, but overall, I'm satisfied with what we've done, because as I've said many times, the Kwangtung army is on the way, and they're already in play here at Changsha and Luoyang, and they have so many troops it's not even funny. So we have to turtle up and be strong, make our own death stacks, just like Lodrik does. But the difference is we're defending and he has to attack us. And Chinese troops are good when they have good terrain, they have supply, and they have fortification. And we will have all those things wherever he has to attack. Strategically in Burma, I'm in a bit of a pickle right now because I don't have everything in here that I want. I got supply, I need more. I got troops, I need more. I have aircraft, I'm happy with the aircraft. But I need more. And until I address the issue with him sending these cruiser task forces up here, I can't reliably send troops into Rangoon via sea. That's the optimal way to do it, because going down this road here or coming across to here just takes forever. You could plan for about a month from Chittagong to Rangoon, and more or less the same from Kalemio to Rangoon. That's how long it's going to take the overland route to get troops into Burma. And I don't know if how much time I have, because as also talking strategically, Singapore is about dead. He's got 61 units at Johor just waiting to cross, and I honestly think he has enough troops to take it in one go. We don't have a lot in Singapore because the bulk of my forces got trapped up here. We have more troops in Temalo than we have in Singapore. So once this death stack gets fully formed up, he should take Singapore in a turn or two. And once he does, he has that awesome port in place, and he can just shuttle run back and forth whatever he wants. Carriers, surface combatants, subs. This whole area will be a wasteland once Singapore falls. So I need to figure out how to get strong in India, because I don't have supremacy at the sea right now. I don't have air supremacy. Well, I don't want to say I don't have air supremacy because we haven't been challenged yet in the air. But I don't have the supremacy of the sea lanes. And that's what we got to have if we're going to be strong in Burma and India. And personally, the way I see it, for Lodrik to get his auto victory, which is a 4-1 4-1 point value by January 1st, 1943. He needs to take Burma and do a lot of damage in India. So looking at the points right now, every day this ticks towards his favor. So right now we're at like a 1 to 2 to 3 advantage, or 3 to 2 advantage, if you will. But that's not going to hold for long. And if that gets to 4-1 in his favor and he can maintain it, we're in a lot of trouble. We're losing a lot of ships right now. We've lost a lot of good ships. Looking at ships that we've lost, right? If I sort by points, we lost both of these because he ambushed them. We've lost a heavy cruiser and multiple light cruisers. Some really decent transports. A bunch of these AEGs that were valuable because of these stupid subs, right? Some tankers. A lot of... Here, let's just sort by type now. Look at all the destroyers that we've lost. Look at everything we've lost, right? This is crazy. All these CLs. All these destroyers. So many destroyers that I need to scroll through it, right? So we're talking about 25, 30 destroyers that I've lost so far. A bunch of stupid PT boats which were blown up in Manila. I don't count those. These motor launches are useless. We've lost a lot of subs because he bombed them in Manila. So all these were lost in Manila or sunk near Manila. So we lost a lot of good subs, which I could have been using already in blockading Japan, but because he struck us so hard at Manila on the first day or two, we couldn't get him out. We've lost a lot of mine ships. We've lost a lot of escort ships. A lot of AGs and AOs, which are support ships. Some pretty decent tankers, all near the Dutch East Indies. A lot of these dang AMCs. A lot of troop transports. I mean, a lot of everything. I can go on the list. Look at all this stuff. Tons of AKLs. And that all adds up points. So I am looking to get strong in India. I don't know how I'm going to do it yet, but I'm going to do it. Because I want Rangoon to last. I want to hold it there. But unless we can find a way to get troops in there quickly, it will not last. So another strategy I have here is holding Port Moresby. I think it's important. If you look at the points, it's not necessarily that important, but strategically it is, because once he's in here, his bombers can just interdict all of this stuff. He can have scouting as far down as Brisbane with his good scouting aircraft. So to me, it's bad enough that he's got Tulagi, because it's like a spear pointing into our southern supply routes, right? But Port Moresby is a spear pointing right into Australia, and I'd like to hold it. So I'm doing what I can to get ships in there, but again, our biggest weakness is going to be here, the lack of naval supremacy and air supremacy. We have air supremacy right now because we haven't been challenged lately. We don't have naval supremacy because all I have are a few cruisers, no battleships, and no carriers. Where we're going to be strong is in New Hebrides and New Caledonia. I got a metric ton of stuff coming into Nomea within the next few days. I'll give you a sneak peek. We have all these units coming in to reinforce. Look at all the support ships we have in place now. We have built-in escort ships. We have destroyer tenders. We have air tenders. I have an AO there for fuel support. I got some rearming and rearming ships. I have great support ships in Nomea already. These Marauders are on the way to combine in Australia. In a couple turns, we got 2 aircraft units coming in. So these are actually, if you take a look, P-40B Warhawks that I'm bringing in from Hawaii. And the P-40Bs, I think, are actually better fighters than the P-40Es. So we're going to get some air cover over Nomea to protect us from any of his carrier strikes. So I want to be very strong in New Caledonia. And I want to build from the front back, okay? I don't want to spend a lot of time wasting building up Fiji and Samoa and Tonga. I don't need those right now. What I need is New Caledonia and Espiritu Santo. so we have a launching off base for trying to get back into the Solomons at some point. So that's what my plan is strategically over this next month, is to get strong in New Caledonia, get strong in Luganville, and once I have them strong, we'll start building up Fiji and all the other important places that are further south. But I want to build from the front because he's going to come here first and then go that way. I don't think he's going to attack from the back because he's going to get cut off. He'll get surrounded by me, and he'll have us pointing towards him if he were to go for Fiji first, right? Granted, Fiji's worth a lot of points, but it's hard to keep in supply. We can just set up a blockade of crap here, and he's going to have to constantly shuttle back and forth from Truck or Rabal to keep Fiji under control. So he's going to go for stuff that's closer to his supply lines first. So that's my strategy in the South Pacific. We're going to focus heavy here, and then once we get that where we want it, we'll build backwards. Okay? So I'm going to take a look at my Discord because a lot of people gave me suggestions on things they wanted me to talk about. So let's see here. General strategy, we're talking about that. We talked about good things that I've done, bad things that I've done. We talked about all the reinforcements we're going to get for ships, for aircraft, and for land units. So we've covered that. Let's see here. Okay, somebody asked a question about why my cap has been getting shredded in Surabaya. So let's look at Surabaya, because it was a specific question. I want to address it because, as you know, the last few turns we've had craptastic cap performance. In hindsight, about a week or two ago, when he had his carriers and he did a port strike at Surabaya, we actually had a very good performance. We shot down 20 some odd aircraft, but we have not been able to repeat that. So you can take a look at what I've got here. I'm going to go ahead and let you see it. If any of you tell Lodrik what I've got, you're fired, you're kicked off, you're ejected. We have a lot of fighters. Granted, they're buffaloes, but they're still fighters, okay? Somebody said, hey, it must be because you don't have radar. That's not true. Check this out. Where's it at? Let me find the unit. Look at this. Number 1, Mark 1, GL1. This is radar, guys. We have radar at Surabaya. So we can't use that excuse for why we're getting a 6-minute notice when he's got a raid coming in. And I think what it is, and someone in my Discord pointed this out, these early radars aren't very good. And the size of the units that he's been sending in are like 13 or 14 aircraft sweeps. When he hit us with the sledgehammer at Surabaya a couple weeks ago, he had 50, 60 aircraft in that flight, okay? So I think that's why we did better, because the radar picked up the raid further out and our cap fighters got on scene faster. I have our fighters set up at 3 different altitudes, 10, 15, and 20. I had them set for cap range 0, so they're literally flying over Surabaya, but because we're not getting enough detection on the raid, that's why we haven't been getting the kills that we need. And I don't really know how to fix it right now. He just needs to come at us with a bigger raid. So because I know that Lodrik has moved off and he's heading southwest, I'm putting all my fighters down to 0, or I'm standing them down for 1 turn to give them a chance to take a break, to get their fatigue down, to get the repairs fixed on the aircraft. So we're standing down all fighters on Java for this next turn, because I don't see him doing an about face and coming right back here, because he smells blood in the water and he wants more ships. He knows I've got ships down here. He knows I've got ships here. He's going to keep going this way for a while before he turns back north. And by the way, he may be half out of sorties already with chasing his tail, blowing up AKLs. But that's what's been going on in Surabaya. We have radar. We have the aircraft. We're not getting enough response time to deal with them when they come in. So I don't really know how to fix that. If you guys know of a better way than what I've been doing by having heavy cap at range 0, multiple altitude stacked, it's still not working. I don't know what else to do. Okay. Since we're talking strategy, I want to show you guys something in the Philippines, because when the Philippines falls is when all these troops that are here get unlocked to head down to Java, basically, right? So 2 things he needs to take to have troops ready. He needs Singapore took. He needs to take Singapore because he's got troops tied up there, which he's going to do. And he also needs all the troops in the Philippines to be done with their mission. However, I think he's going to have a hard time doing it with what he's got. Unless he's been bringing in tons of divisions that I just haven't seen. If you take a look here, if you get your face close to the screen, you see these arrows? He's finally making the move for Clark. I think after the last turn when we used our PBYs to blast his ships, I think he realizes that he's been making a mistake by leaving Clark Field intact. Because it's fully intact. Look at that. He's left us alone for the last 5-6 turns. No bombing. We've got everything repaired. The fortifications are coming up. He bombed Baton last turn. I don't know why, because there's nothing there. Nothing important there. So he wasted an entire day's sorties on bombing Baton, which is not important. I've been saying it once and I'll say it again. The key to defense of Luzon is Clark Field. Jungle Rough as opposed to Jungle Regular, right? So Clark Field's got a time stream multiplier. We've got at least size 3 forts, if not size 4 by the time he gets there. And we also have 1,231 worth of assault value in place right now with plenty of supply. And we have another 100 and almost 200 AV going to be in Clark Field the next 3 days. So we're going to have almost 1,500 assault value on times 3 terrain. He is going to have a heck of a time taking Clark Field. And he may eventually do it, but he's going to take a lot of casualties doing it. And that's my goal here. I know I can't win in Luzon, but my goal is, and all these troops are doomed, but my goal is to inflict the maximum amount of casualties on him before we lose these troops. And I feel like my strategy of holding Clark Field is the key. But once it does fall, all these troops are going to be unlocked to continue down and conquer this, conquer all of this, which I'm surprised he hasn't done yet, and start taking Java. You know, I hate to backtrack because I thought I was done talking about strategy, but I do want to show you guys one thing. Right now, I feel like he's left a big hole because he's got this battleship unit, which is probably going to take this route back to Babel to reload. This unit is spent. These battleships have no ammo left. He's moving south here. We have naval recon out here, so we know what's coming. And there's nothing coming. So we have a window of opportunity to get some more ships out. So I am emptying out Balikpapan. I'm clearing ships out of Mindanao. And I'm packing up basically what left I have that can float, that's salvageable in Surabaya. And we're going to take this route. We're not going south because it's that's not safe. But we're going to go this way. We're going to stop in Batavia and top off fuel. And then we're going to take this passageway here. As you recall, last turn, I've got my minesweepers. And we've cleared all the mines out of Merak. We're going to come here and clear the mines out of here. And we're going to use this way to egress out towards Cape Town. Yeah, well, I know he's got subs here, but I do have some ASW assets in this task force that I'm going to use. So we may lose a ship or two, but he can't take them all out. So we're going to get the ships out, and we're going to save a lot of ships off of Java. This is the window of opportunity that I have that I need to use. So while he's got these guys distracted down here, we're going to get as many ships out as we can. It's either, and if they die on the way out, then they die. But if I get them out, that's a bonus, right? If I leave them in Surabaya, they will die. 100% guarantee they will die in Surabaya by port strike, by the eventual invasion, you name it. So this is my window to get what I can out of Surabaya now. So that's what we're going to do. We're not going south because we know for certain that he's got subs all through here. And we do know that this guy could do an about face pretty quick and get back on station to take these ships out. So we're not going south. We're going to go through here. That's why I've got these AMCs working this area, clearing this out. All right, I'm looking through my Discord to see if there's any other important things I can talk about, because this video is getting a little long now and I don't want to go too much longer. Well, okay, second to last. We currently have a lot of bombers in Australia, and they're training for naval attack type things. We also have big bombers in Australia, and they have a mission which I won't discuss. We also have bombers in Perth. We have a bunch of B-26s standing by in case he wants to bring another surface task force down this way. I don't want to send him out against the carriers because he's got a lot of cap on those things. But against surface ships, those aircraft can be effective. So I have air assets in Perth, and I have air assets in Cairns, Cooktown, and Townsville. So if he ever comes back again and brings his dang Kido Butai off the coast of Australia and flirts with death, he will be punished. We have aircraft in place there. I have aircraft also at Port Moresby. I don't really want to show you too much about what those are because it's important that I have a little bit of OPSEC on what's there. We have some American fighters that you've seen in the past in China. I won't tell you what base they're at. Okay? They could be at any one of the bases you see. But they have a mission. It's top secret. I'm trying to preserve them and use them for targeted cap strikes, cap traps, and not just random stuff. Okay? I also have a ton of stuff, as you can expect, on Eastern United States, and all of this stuff is basically restricted and can't be moved. I have a few things like these Kingfisher units that can be moved around or moved into combat, but a lot of these units are stuck during training. So briefly, what I can do is I can show you how the training is progressing. So I'm just going to start clicking through, and you can see where we're at with some of the units that are training up. All right, so remember, green is training that occurred last day, and orange is training that occurred over the last month. So we want to see green. We don't want to see orange, right? So I'm just going to kind of scroll through here so you can kind of get a general idea of how the training is going, okay? Okay, we're training all kinds of different things. So overall, pretty good. A lot of these pilots are not ready yet, so we won't be sending these guys into combat anytime soon. I'm looking for at least 60 to 70 on their primary skills before I move them into combat, unless I'm really in a pinch. Now, that's basically it. So we got tons of stuff training on the East Coast. We have some stuff training on the West Coast. Things that are restricted, we can't move them. So we can take a look at this. It's doing okay. This unit here would actually be pretty good to get into combat. Some of these pilots are probably good right now. They need to work on their defensive skills a bit, but the air is getting to the point where they could be useful. We have some Navy units training in LA, okay, working on naval scouting and stuff like that. And then we also have some units in San Diego that are training. A lot of these are we can send out, like the Catalinas, these Dauntless units, the SB, the Vindicator units. They could have been sent out, but I decided to leave them back as training units, right? See? We do need to have a good cadre of good trained up bombers, pilots to replace stuff that we're losing. And right now, unfortunately, we don't have a great naval pilot training program. We just don't have the squadrons available. If we look at Pearl Harbor, these are the aircraft that we've got there. I know I've got that working. You see that B-17s are basically gone. We're waiting for the last few to come up, and then they're heading off to parts unknown. But we don't have a lot of great Navy training units right now. A lot of more Marine Corps ones, which are fine, because we can put Marine Corps squadrons on carriers, for example, but I can't replace the losses for the Navy pilots if we receive them. So I'm waiting for more naval units to come into play here so I can use those. So last thing I want to show you guys, and this was requested, was kind of my thoughts on the logistics train. All right. So I'm trying to hit this from three different areas, right? The three primary logistics trains that I've got going are going to be from the west coast of the United States, right? Up here in Heiden and Abaddon. Abaddon is a great source of fuel, Aden is a great source of troops and planes and things coming in from, you know, Europe. And we also have Cape Town. So, but I consider these like 3 regions: Cape Town, Aden, and West Coast. Some stuff from the what do you call it? The Panama Canal. But that's just more or less ships transiting back and forth. It's not so much. I'm getting a whole lot of stuff in there that I need, right? So LA is going to be my primary hub for shipping stuff. And we're basically going to use LA to supply all of the South Pacific Islands and the east coast of Australia. So all of the fuel and supply that this whole part of the world is going to be getting down in here is coming from LA. Or let's call it West Coast, because I will be using San Francisco and San Diego as well. And routing wise, I don't have a lot of escort ships now, so I don't want to talk about the routing too much, because if Lodrik finds out exactly where I'm running my ships, he's going to interdict us with subs. So I have chosen varied and miscellaneous routes. I haven't really set up any CS convoys yet, because if you see all these are still ships. I still have ships coming in from Australia after 3 weeks that have not made it back yet. And I really need all of these in play before I can set up the CS convoys that I want to do. I also have tankers that are coming in. Oh, that's something else. I had about 20 some odd tankers that were at Pearl Harbor that I am in the process of bringing in now. You see here, I've got this one here, that one here, and I have one there. And if you notice, I took 3 separate routes to confuse Lodrik. They're all going to the same place, but I had one go north, south, and right down the middle. So we haven't had any sub issues in days now. I don't know what happened to all of his subs in Hawaii. I don't know if he's pulling them back, if we damaged a lot of them with our airstrikes, or what happened here. But we haven't seen we see one sub out here. We know we had a Congo line of subs here last couple turns trying to get to the Raleigh, which is doing great. We're well on our way to repairing that. But I don't know where subs are at. And you know what? I don't really care, because I have enough escort ships to get in and out of Pearl. So I just don't care. We may lose ships and stuff, but I don't think he's really figured out our supply lines yet. And again, I don't want to talk about them too much because it's kind of important. But he hasn't figured out our supply lines, and I need to get the priority right now is fuel to Australia, because we're running low. If you look at Melbourne, Sydney, and Brisbane, we don't have a lot of fuel left. Okay, so I need to get tankers moving out to Australia, and the tankers are going to come from the West Coast. I do have some tankers that can come from here, but I don't have very many. I have a lot of tankers coming out of Abaddon, but these are going somewhere else, and it's too hard to get these down to Australia safely. I might be able to do it, but I think I'm just going to rely more so. Oh, okay. So I don't have tankers, but I have ships that I'm using as tankers. But just to close the book on this, my supply chain from the West Coast to Australia and the South Pacific is still not fully established yet. I'm still waiting for the ships to come in. And once I have all the ships in place that I need, I will start CS convoys with all different routing going to Australia. And they're all going to go in different places. Some are going to go in Melbourne, some in Sydney, some in Brisbane. All right? Because I don't want them all going into Sydney, for example, because it's too easy for them to blockade that. Let's talk about the logistics plan from up here. Most of everything is coming into Karachi until further notice, because it's the shortest distance from Aden and Abaddon. I already do have some CS convoys set up. See, I have this cargo task force set up, and it's going back and forth from Abaddon. So you'll see Abaddon, CS, Karachi supply. So this is a supply convoy that's constantly bringing stuff into here. I have other stuff from Abaddon. Here's a tanker unit coming in, Abadan, CS, Karachi, fuel. So we've been moving tons of fuel into Karachi, and the fuel situation in India is great. Abadan is quick. The fuel is getting where we need it to go. We have plenty of fuel in Colombo. The fuel's getting into Calcutta. So our CS plan is going well from Abadan to Karachi. And I'm not concerned about supplier fuel at this point into there. In Aden, we're not doing as many CS convoys because Aden doesn't get nearly as much supply per turn. We get 500 supply, 100 fuel. So this stuff isn't really something we can feed, right? Look at what Abadan gets. 15,000 fuel, 1,700 supply per turn. So this is where a lot of our supply is coming from, and a lot of our units come from here. All right. So a lot of these units that you see moving off map going here are actually APs. And the supply that we do have here, I'm just going to use to top off my ships with the troops moving in. And again, everything until further notice, until I'm satisfied that we've resolved the issues with Lodrik running amok in the Bay of Bengal, is going to come into Karachi, and from there we will move everything via rail line to Calcutta and redistribute from there. Calcutta will be the base of operations for transporting the ships, if we ever can again, from here into Rangoon. We're going to use these awesome rail lines that India has in place, and Karachi is going to be the hub for everything coming in. All right, we still have plenty of port capacity and airfield capacity, so all the planes, all the ships, all the fuel, all the supply is coming into Karachi, and we will use our network to redistribute it to the places that it needs to go. So that's my plan for keeping India and Burma topped off. It's Abadan and Aden feeding into Karachi and using the rail lines to redistribute. Okay? Lastly, let's talk about my plan for this part of the world, right? Cape Town is a great hub for supply, not so much for fuel. And again, a lot of units and a lot of ships come in there. So actually, you see we have a pretty massive stockpile of ships, and good ships too. More than we actually need right now. But we don't have any troops to move yet. And we also have issues with Lodrik being over here. I do have convoys set up. So if you take a look at this, we have CS convoys. And again, because I don't have the tankers right now in Cape Town, I need to relocate some from Abadan south. I'm using regular AKs to move fuel, and it's not efficient. We basically can move half of your capacity of fuel with AKs, but that's all I have right now in place. So I am using CS convoys. Yeah, these are obviously not going to Rangoon. All these troops are going somewhere else. Maybe Bombay, maybe somewhere else. It says Rangoon reinforcements, but I can't get these in there until I deal with his surface unit. So that's not going where you think it's going. See, we got some more CS convoys. These have supplies. All this is going into Perth. I may think about redirecting some of these. Instead of going into Perth, we may need to stretch it out and go to Melbourne. Okay? Because Perth is just going to continue to be a it's going to continue to be a hot zone, because he knows that we have a lot of convoys coming onto the map and going into Perth, because it's the quickest route from Cape Town to Australia is Perth. But I am going to probably add a couple more convoys that go to Melbourne, and I'll make sure I pick the ships that have the longest legs. Okay? See some of these AKs that have 18,000 range, 16,000 range. These can make the round trip from Cape Town to Melbourne, and we can resupply that way too. So I will be setting up some more convoys to do that. Eventually, I will relocate some tankers from Abadan to Cape Town to be used for moving supply into Australia, because Australia is going to be our big jumping off point for the reconquest of everything. Okay? We're going to use it to reconquest whatever we lose here in New Guinea, whatever we want to take back into Java. We're all coming out of Australia to do it. and that's why we need to have a healthy supply and fuel in Australia. So that's kind of my logistical intent for this next month, January to February of 1942. So we have Cape Town, Abaddon, Aden, and West Coast going into India, Western Australia, Eastern Australia, and the South Pacific. I'm probably missing some stuff, guys, but this video is now an hour and 30 minutes and some change, and I didn't really want it to be, but there's a lot to discuss. So this is kind of what I want to do once a month, is have these big, long videos where I talk about all this stuff. And I'm sure I missed something, and I'm sure there's things you want to know about. So if you want to know more, I invite you to my Discord to come and ask some questions. Ask specific questions. I'll give you the answers. You do have to be a member of the Allied side to ask Allied questions. So if you're new and you come to our Discord, you got to pick a side. I'll give you access to Lodrik's side, or I'll give you access to my side. Granted, if you're watching this video and you're a fan of Lodrik, you know, it is what it is. But just know I have moderators in place that are monitoring his channel. I don't monitor it, but they do. So if you're taking stuff from my videos here and talking to Lodrik in our Discord, you will be found and you will be executed. So don't do it. I trust you guys here. Anybody who's watching this video is here because you're a fan of the game and you're impartial and you want to see what I'm doing without telling him. Lodrik doesn't need any help, okay? He's doing just fine. He's kicking my butt all over the place without anybody's help. He doesn't want your help. He doesn't want your suggestions. Lodrik is going to do what he's going to do because he's the evil dictator. I want your suggestions. I want your advice and your tips because we're allied and we're a team. And everything you tell me I listen to. I may not agree with it. I may not do it. But I will listen to you and take it under advisement. There's some good tips that I've been getting so far. And when they're good, I use them. So give me good tips and I'll keep using them. So to wrap this up, if you have any more questions, post a comment in the video or come to my Discord and ask me. And I will answer whatever I didn't answer in this long video right now. So I'm done. Thanks again for watching. Thanks for being part of this adventure that I'm on. I think Lodrik appreciates your support. I certainly do. We're doing this not only for us, but for you because we like the interaction that we have with you guys. So keep interacting with us. If you're new to my channel, I encourage you to like this video and subscribe. I'd love to get to 1,000 subscribers. Not for the money, because there's no money in doing content like this. But it gives me the community tab so I can start asking questions, posting polls, giving you guys updates on YouTube if you're not on my Discord about what I'm planning to do or when a video is coming out. So help me get to 1,000 subscribers, please, so I can give you guys more information and better videos. Okay, I'm done. Thanks so much for watching. I will see you guys soon for the next video.